Plus. Plus 2 equals what number? It's alright, 5.
One of the most important things that I realized when I accepted Christ in my life was my perspective about my children. Both my kids have autism. In the early years of our parenthood, my parenthood, it was a struggle to accept them. It was a struggle to accept their condition and the overall situation that we are in as a family. I've spoken countless times about how challenging it was financially, how it was also straining to our relationship at times. But when I accepted Christ in my life, I had a profound realization that my children are God's children and that they were just entrusted to me. Their autism is part of the way God designed them. Because of that, I learned how to embrace my children for what they are. It's a double-edged sword that on one part, it might look like it's faith and it's surrender and that we believe God's design and sovereignty over our situation. But on the other hand, is it also lack of faith that I have given up on autism itself? That I don't think my children will be better? I'm guilty of that sometimes. In Genesis chapter 18, when God was speaking to Abraham and Sarah about having a child, they had their doubts. They were both very old at that time, maybe scientifically no longer capable of bearing a child. And in verse 13 to 14, it says, "Then the Lord said to Abraham, 'Why did Sarah laugh? Why did she say, "Can an old woman like me have a baby?" Is anything too hard for the Lord? I will return about this time next year, and Sarah will have a son.'" This really spoke to me this week because there are many times when I tell myself that I have completely surrendered my children's condition to the Lord, that I will accept them for how they are for the rest of their life. Even if they stay with the mind of a child for the rest of their life, I will accept them. And sometimes that stops me from believing that my children will ever be better, that my children can still improve because of what I know about autism at this point. Early this week, we received a request from the school asking us to buy a calculator for Jared. And then we received a video that shows how that Jared was using a calculator and actually doing some basic addition and even writing down what the results were. It's not even it. 2 weeks ago, because Jared wanted to have some French fries at home, I put some French fries in the air fryer. However, that will take about 15 to 20 minutes. So I told Jared he had to wait, and because he had autism, he doesn't really always have the patience for waiting. So he was very fidgety, and he kept on going back to the kitchen. He kept on opening the air fryer, and I keep on telling him, "You have to wait, you have to put that back in so that it will cook." I was desperately trying to make Jared wait, so I told him, "Why don't you count 1 to 100? Sige Jared, count 1 to 100, and after you count, the French fries would be over." And that was me thinking that Jared would not be able to count to 100 because so far, and up to that point, I know that he can count up to 20. I didn't know that he can count up to 100, and lo and behold, my son went up after 20. My son went 21, 22, and then the 30s, the 40s, 70s, the 80s. 99, 100. That I don't have a video of. It was just something that I had to capture in my brain, my heart too. And Genesis chapter 18 verse 14 reminded me this week of that. I'm not saying that my child will be normal. I leave that up to the Lord. But what I'm saying is that now I am reassured and I am reminded that nothing is too difficult, nothing is impossible for our Lord God. Peace.